The capacity to be aware of control and to express one's emotions and handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. That, my friends, is the definition of emotional intelligence. For Rob Jed, it's the center of his work as a relationship coach and therapist. He's interested in helping people clear their fears and change their perspective on life. He's particularly passionate about working with children and families and working with parents to put them in a positive mindset and mind frame in order to raise children with good moral values and a compass of good moral character. He joined me this week to have a conversation about shifting your mindset, building positive relationships, and really valuing yourself as an individual. I'm ready to have an in-depth conversation about relationship building and connectivity with our loved ones. So, without further delay, I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. You're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to learn all about your life and professional journey. Great to see you today, and thank you for a few minutes, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Now, Rob, I know that you help people sort of overcome their fears and help them navigate relationships by overcoming their fears and improve their perspective on life. So I'm wondering if you can tell me about all the great work that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm like a life coach, a therapist, and I take on clients that they usually come to me when they've got problem, like they've got an emotional problem, they've got something that's holding them back in their life. And my background is with NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I also have some hypnotherapy and other modalities, other things that I weave in. But what those things really help do is help those people see a different perspective on their problem. When you see a different perspective on your problem, you feel differently about it, and it can really make the emotion of something disappear in a second. It can really make that thing that's holding you back dissolve right away. It's fantastic. I've gone through the process myself and continue to do the process myself, and my life's never been better. I was an engineer, electrical engineer, computer engineer, and so I've gone from some sitting behind a computer to, well, still sitting behind a computer, but in a different way, right? And it's fascinating how still being able to help people with all these skills, but just in a way that, I don't know, just improves their life to no end. So
absolutely. And Rob, tell me, in your opinion, how do you develop a winning mindset?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like part of what we do as well is it's not always about treating someone's trauma. It's also about, just like you talk about, a winning mindset. And that comes down to like your values in life, what you believe, right? And your beliefs come off your values. And I'm talking about values, I'm talking about family, I'm talking about health, I'm talking about maybe it's financial abundance. And when you have those values clear, crystal clear, and prioritized, you can set goals to achieve really anything that you want. Like the sky's the limit, and I truly believe that. And I believe that once you have those things in place, and that's what a coach can do, is help put those things in place for you. We can clear all the negative charge around those things. Like you might want to have financial freedom, but you think, oh, I can't earn money, and that's a limiting belief. And so my job is to help you see a different perspective, because if the guy over there can do it, you sure as well can, and that's part of it. But the main thing about getting a winning mindset, in my opinion, is actually taking action. Can't do anything unless you actually do it. We can talk about it all day, but until you actually do something, it doesn't happen. So that embeds it in your nervous system, and then it becomes a part of you, and it becomes a new habit that you're doing every day. So, we're constantly evolving. We're finding like-minded people is another way to do it too. There's heaps on Facebook, for instance. So, there's really a lot about connecting with other people. I can just tell you, like, I used to, because mindset is everything here. Like I would volunteer at my local school, and part of that volunteering, I'm on the parents and friends committee there, and part of that would be to stand up in front of people and speak. And I would for so long get so wound up and anxious, and I'd lose train of thought, and I wouldn't enjoy the experience. And part of the therapy I did with someone, they did that with me, was they took me back to a place where, like, I just imagined this. It's all imaginary, but this is what happens in a coaching session. You sit down, you have a chat, we work with your imagination, because your perspective is based on that imagination. But to circle back, what happened was I was at my birth. I was imagined me coming out, and I realized, like, I was naked, right, as you are, birthday suit, in front of everyone there, and everyone there was looking at me. And what I realized was that everyone was there to help me. Everyone's not there to shame me and put me down. They're there to help me. And when I realized that that goes for any situation like that, where I'm standing in front of people, sitting in front of you now. Like, I'm here because you want me here. I'm here because I was there because people wanted to hear what I had to say. And as soon as that perspective changed, I changed the way that I thought about things. So for me, that was really drastic. That was really like that opened up a huge door, because all of a sudden it was like, no, I can't stand up in front of people. No, I get too nervous. I get too scared. Now all of a sudden, I can do it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy doing it because that perspective has changed. So that's part of that part. But I also believe having emotional awareness and clearing triggers. So when people upset you, or you feel strong emotions, it's about feeling into those emotions and working out whether they're discerning, whether they're warranted, or whether they come from something in your childhood. Someone else's opinion of something has made you feel upset in a certain situation. So the more we clear those things, the more they're not in your way when you want to have that winning mindset that you're talking about, Kevin. When you go out and you really want to achieve something, you don't have any of that stuff in your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob, I know it's important for you to start at an early age with children and families, and developing that winning mindset. And I know that working with children and families is a real passion for you. So I'm wondering if you can tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I love kids. I'm just one of those people that just has instant rapport with children, and that like, I've got two boys of my own. They're 7 and 11, and I'm also involved, like I was saying before, at the local primary school. But as you work with kids, and as you are with kids, you start to notice traits and patterns and behavioral issues and lots of things that I see so many issues these days with kids as well. These things starting to come up more and more. Kids as young as 3 or 4 are supposedly anxious, and there's all the labels we have for people. There's ADHD, there's the autism, the people that live with autism and whatnot. But circling back, what I've noticed is I always thought I would work with kids because, like I said, I've got good rapport. I get on really well. I'm able to interact really easily, where I know some adults do struggle with that. But what I found was whenever there was some kid that was labeled, oh, they're really anxious, or they're really emotional, or they're a troublemaking kid. What I noticed is there a pattern when they're under about the age of 10, you could be almost 100% sure that one of the parents would be exhibiting what they're actually claiming their child is exhibiting. So once I kind of worked that out, I was working with an occupational therapist at one stage, and they were saying how, that if they could work with the parents, that 99% of their caseload would be gone, because the kids are a reflection of their parents in so many cases. So it was really interesting for me to then start looking at families and looking at the family dynamics around that, helping parents be able to work effectively with their kids, being able to not react to the behavior of the child, but be able to help identify the feelings, because that's the hardest thing for a kid to do, is identify what feelings they are, what they're feeling. Are they angry? Are they sad? Are they upset? Are they frustrated? And typically they have a very small range of emotions that they can identify. It's usually, sad, happy, frustrated, angry. There's not the depth of what they might actually be feeling. So there's a little bit of helping kids identify those emotions, but certainly working with the parents, and then the parents start to understand. I can sit down with a child for an hour, and there's I do the maths on this all the time, but there's 120 odd hours in a week. If you see them only in a fortnight, there's 240 hours, and I've seen them for 1 hour. So the more I can work with the parents who are going to be with their kids, most of the time, most of that 240 hours outside of school, the more success that I feel that we can get and help with children and families just being so much more secure and loving. And that is my passion, that we have a lot more stable, secure families and people in a loving relationship.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. You had mentioned something to me earlier that really piqued my interest. It really leads into my next question. In terms of creating an environment for kids to be successful, so I'm wondering if you have sort of a blueprint you follow when it comes to how do you think we can effectively raise kids in today's society? Because, raising kids today isn't the same that it was 10 or 15 years ago. So how do you think we can raise kids today and create really an environment of success for kids?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think I'm still working that one out. As a parent myself, I don't have all the answers, but the blueprint, I believe it starts with emotional awareness. I believe a lot of the issues come from not understanding our emotions and then projecting it. When I say project it, I mean like you blame somebody. You say, I hate the way he does that, or I don't like that you're doing that. And that isn't taking ownership, and that will cause a lot of grief within a family very quickly. And I see it in my own house. It happens, where one person gets upset, another one doesn't like it. Before you know it, they're blaming each other and throwing their emotions around. And first thing is, as long as everyone's fed, right? As long as everyone's got food and water, that's like 9 times out of 10 solves a kid's problem. But there is a lot of the time, especially as they get a bit older, where being able to take the time to engage in anyone's emotion and looking past the behavior. Like, I will have my kids say, "You're an idiot, you're an idiot," and use more colorful language than that as well. But at the end of the day, my job is to go, "Hey, what's actually going on? What's wrong?" If I react to that, then things go to crap. So my job is to just, like I said, ignore the behavior to a sense, or bypass it, and go directly to the emotional state and say, "Hey, what's going on? What's making you frustrated right now?" And again, 9 times out of 10, it changes them straight away. They're not expecting it. And so for them to be able to go, well, what I'm doing is acknowledging that they're feeling something, and they love that. I love it too when someone says I'm upset and said, "Hey, you look like you're upset. Is there anything that I can do for you?" It's a nice feeling, rather than having someone be combative around the way that our emotions are. And so I think we're becoming more and more emotionally aware than we were 10 or 15 years ago, and even 20 and then 30 and 40 years ago, especially when I grew up. We're a lot more aware, a lot more encouraging, a lot more embracing the fact that emotions are there regardless of what we say or do or condition around them. I know that my opinion is that emotions are there. They're a signal to our body. They're there to tell us something. So when we feel something like sadness, or we feel anger, or we even just feeling tired, there's a reason for that, and it's usually emotional. And when we're feeling angry, it's like, okay, what is this trying to tell me? Okay, it means that I need to do this. I need to go, and I'm feeling fear right now because my kids just ran out on the road. I need to act. I need to do something. So that's why it's so important that we listen to our emotions. If we suppress them, not only do we could potentially put other people at risk, especially like kids on the road, but we're putting ourselves at risk, because emotion is actually energy in motion. So it needs to move, it needs to act. And if we don't act on it, then it just keeps cycling around our body, and we feel more and more crap. There's, I don't know what study it is, but I know that's been proven. I was reading in a New Scientist article the other day about the fact that stress, which is, a fear response, causes, in long-term effects of stress, there's, cardiovascular disease and other diseases. So it causes dis-ease in the body, and no one wants that. And I can say from experience that my blood pressure, since I've started this process, has gone from someone who was moderately high blood pressure back to normal. And I haven't changed anything other than, and this just works for me, but I'm just saying a lot of what I've done is just become more emotionally aware, embrace that emotional awareness, and it's already had health benefits for me, like physical health benefits, let alone, the benefits with being able to relate to other people as well. So there's that. There's also like leading by example. I think, to circle back and saying, what's a blueprint? As a parent, I've got to lead by example. I'm not going to tell a kid to do something that I wouldn't do myself. I think it's so critical, because they mirror us all the time. And if we are giving them conflicting information all the time, that's what they take on board. They get confused. And so leading by example is something that I've always loved to do, to the point where I think I even got some injections done just because my kids wanted theirs done, and I didn't want to get needles any more than they did, but I think it felt like it was very important to lead by example. One of the other big key points that we teach in the workshops that we run, and what I help my clients with, is something called nonviolent communication. And it's really just all about saying things from I, not you make me feel. I am feeling this because of what you said. And that's just a small introduction to it. But going back and forth like that, it's also about saying, hey, I don't want you to feel angry right now. That was not my intention. And when we start taking ownership like that, it's almost like you can look at a problem or an argument, for want of a better term, as an objective thing. It's not doesn't feel so inside you and so emotionally charged, when you can start to stand back and go, hey, I recognize what you were saying, but hey, I feel like this, and I don't want you to feel angry. So what do we do? And it becomes more of a discussion than it does an argument. So we really like to push with that non-violent communication and help educate everyone on that. But they'd be the what I would class as, so just owning our emotions, the emotional awareness, the non-violent communication, and leading by example is what I would kind of loosely put it as a blueprint. But don't hold me on it.
Yeah, I won't make you bet a day's pay on that, but I appreciate you sharing that, and I know that your own personal journey has really taught you the importance of men sharing their emotions. So I'm wondering if you can tell me about that.
Yeah, for sure. Because I guess I grew up in a family full of men. I've got three brothers, and I think Mum even said at some points even the pets were male. So we had a cat and a dog, and they're all male. So what that had is, we didn't have that emotional awareness. We didn't have that connection, and I had that upbringing of like, oh, you'll be right, get on with it, toughen up, and all that did for me was really suppress the emotion deep down. Like it didn't help, it didn't get out. I often felt tired as a kid, and I wonder whether that was related to me not being able to just express myself. And it's been wonderful, like in the last couple of years, being able to really, we've got our masculine and feminine sides to us, and me being able to dive into that feminine side where I can fully express myself and I can receive love where I could only give it before from a masculine perspective, which is taking action and giving and whatnot. And it's, for me, I'd love to. I've seen so many. I've experienced so many wonderful friendships that have started to open up because of this, and I want to see so many other men experience what I've experienced, and be able to say to another man, "I love you," without it meaning anything more than that, other than that it's not a sexual thing and it doesn't mean you're going to leave your partner for someone else. It's just sharing love with another human being, and I feel that that's really important, and something that we've really lost. And it's not, and I know women can struggle with this as well, so it's not just related to men at all, but we are conditioned quite heavily to prevent emotions such as sadness, for instance. Being able to cry as a man, saying, "Oh, you're not a man if you cry. You're a weakling. You're weak if you try." We're not living in the Stone Age anymore. Where that was classed as weak, and women were outcast if they got angry and weren't submissive. Like, it's all gone. That doesn't exist anymore. Our society these days is so different. And I guess being a man, I was being exposed to a lot of different things around how we suppress. We suppress the emotion or numb it. There's a lot of men struggle with alcohol or porn or drugs. It's really any kind of habit or thing that you do that isn't useful in your life. Like, it's okay to enjoy a drink every now and then, perhaps, but if you are doing it to excess, then what does that actually mean about you? What are you looking back on yourself? Is that, well, hang on a sec, why am I doing this so much? I'm doing it because I don't like feeling the emotions, or I want to try and feel like I want to be more confident, and you don't need any of that. Like, honestly, I used to drink alcohol at night by myself, feeling like, I just want to unwind and relax. Ever since, again, I've become emotional aware, I very rarely have a drink anymore. And it's not because of a conscious decision. It was just didn't feel like it anymore, because I'd already dealt with the emotions that I was suppressing and numbing. So, there's there's a lot of that was really, they're really close to my heart. And if I can help other men, I am in the midst of starting up men's circles in Adelaide here in Australia. There's already lots of them started already going, but I really want to get one going myself. And because I want to give men the opportunity to start that process of being able to just express who they are. There's nothing to stop them expressing themselves except what's in their own mind. And regardless of what happens, we're all human. We all feel emotions, and it doesn't matter what we say or what we do or how we condition or tell yourself to toughen up and anything. We all feel emotions. And if we suppress them, we'll get disease and we'll get run down, we'll get tired. And I just want them to feel as good as I do, I don't need a lot of sleep. And yeah, that's it. I really just want everyone to be able to experience what I've experienced, or give them the opportunity of having the choice to feel like they can do it, when I think a lot of people might feel they don't have a choice these days.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important. And Rob, one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast specifically about it is because I was actually born with cerebral palsy. So one of the ways that I deal with social isolation when it comes up is through conversation. So I think that expressing yourself through a conversation and emotion is an important thing, because diversity of perspective is important, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And it's, so much courage to lean into those things. It'd be so easy just to hide away. I think I've seen lots of different people from, hide away for a lot less, and to be able to lean in and enjoy conversations and whatnot, it's so rewarding and fulfilling. I mean, for me, it's just been wonderful. I had been in the past someone who tried to be friends with everybody, and it never worked. It was always because I was trying to fulfill something that wasn't really there. And to be able to really sit down and have a meaningful conversation, like you're saying, Kevin, it's a wonderful thing, and it fulfills a lot. And it is one of, I often talk about Tony Robbins. I love his perspective, and I love the way he talks about the 6 human needs, and one of them is love and connection, because without it, we just do not fulfill our life. And that's what he believes, and I believe it too, from all the things that he said. And if you have that as part of the 5 other needs, it is a path to fulfillment, or feeling, like you are, enjoying your life. So absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob, tell me, I'm curious to ask you, when it comes to relationships, what do you think is the key to establishing prosperity and also a collaborative culture of building?
Yeah, that was a really good question. I really believe that it does come down, like, again, I'll say it again, is emotional awareness. Because as soon as you take your power back in situations where you are, relating to other people, so relationships, cultures, where you want to engage in business, understanding your emotional reactions and and having emotional awareness helps to not only be confident, which is often respected and admired and followed, but also so you can empathize and understand those that you're communicating with. It removes it just leaves all your baggage at the door. If you're in a corporate environment and you're carrying all the trauma from your childhood, and if you come into work feeling emotional, that day just isn't going to go well for you. And I think the more that we work on that emotional awareness, where we can walk into those situations where we don't waste any time with, what I want to say, water cooler talk or gossip or any of this stuff that's not useful, things will prosper. Relationships, like, you'll have more meaningful conversations. We won't sit there talking about the weather every 5 minutes, or talking about what car you're going to buy next. It's going to be more meaningful conversations. And I believe that all starts with emotional awareness and being able to be courageous enough to be vulnerable with people and say, hey, I'm feeling like this. Because the end of the day, if they have a reaction to that, that's their own insecurity and not being able to deal with their own emotional awareness. So it is about having courage. It's leaning into the fears, leaning into that fear and going, hang on, I'm not going to let that fear run me. I'm going to see what happens if I lean into this. So there's that, and also that non-violent communication, but that's getting a little bit deeper and in the weeds but they're just techniques that you can use to relate to people. But no, emotional awareness, definitely, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob, my final question for you today has to do with your own individual, personal, and professional legacy and how you want that to be defined.
Yeah, look, the more I keep diving into this, the more I just want to be remembered for making a massive impact for families and relationships. I feel like if I can keep divorce rates down, if I can keep families together and happy and enjoying each other, then I feel like my work's done. I feel like I'll be fulfilled.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob, tell me, if people want to get connected with the great work that you do, what's the best way they can do that?
Oh, look, fantastic. Look, we're on Facebook, and you can find us at our page Be Set Free Briney, which is BRIONIE. Or just search for Rob Jurd on, and you'll see that I'm on part of Be Set Free, and we operate out of Facebook. They give us everything we need. We've got a lot of connections there. We've got a page that describes what we do with our coaching. We do sessions, like I said, and we do one-to-one sessions, and we do workshops, and we do some free online stuff. And coming soon is some more men's circles and other things as well, just ways that we can just help out our community. But that's how you can find us, definitely.
Well, fabulous, Rob. I really enjoyed our conversation about building healthy and prosperous relationships. I want to thank you for your work in the space and for joining me today to engage in conversation. It's most appreciated.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure to meet you too, Kevin. I've watched a few of your podcasts and I've loved them. So I feel honoured and really appreciate the reach out. So thank you again.